After an accident and losing my memory, I actually ended up with 4 beautiful girlfriends. Surrounding my hospital bed were 4 absolutely gorgeous faces. Every single one of them claimed to be my girlfriend. One was a cold, icy CEO. One was a top-tier celebrity A-lister. One was a caring, gentle doctor. And there was another one who looked familiar, and she was incredibly sweet. My head was buzzing. Watching them bicker endlessly over who would stay the night, a perfect plan began to form in my mind. Since you all say so, then I'll just forget everything. The sharp smell of disinfectant hit me right in the face. I snapped my eyes open. My vision cleared from a blur. What caught my eye was a stark white ceiling. My head felt like it was splitting open. My body felt like it had been run over by a semi-truck. Every single inch of muscle was screaming in pain. Where am I? I rasped, pushing up half my body. In an instant, 4 sets of eyes locked right onto me. 2 on the left side of the bed, 2 on the right. 4 stunning women, each with a completely different style, were looking at me with a mix of scrutiny, worry, curiosity, and a complicated look of disdain. My brain buzzed. A flood of memories that didn't belong to me came rushing in. My name was Evan Green. Just an ordinary, everyday corporate drone. Last night, I was back in my rented apartment reading a brainless power fantasy novel. I was totally invested, mocking a minor character in the book who shared my exact name. The original host was stupid and overly naive, but then everything went black. When I opened my eyes again, I had become the heir to a top-tier billionaire family in that book, sitting on hundreds of billions in family wealth, with looks and a physique that were top of the line, but he just had to be a hopeless romantic. To chase after that manipulative, toxic female lead, he utterly ruined his own reputation. In the end, because of a corporate power struggle, he was set up and got into a car accident. Now he was lying in a hospital, and these 4 women right in front of me were the ones entangled with him in the novel. The one closest to me on my left wore a custom-tailored suit with an aura as cold as ice, and undisguised contempt in her eyes. Vivian Vance, the CEO of the Vance Group, and the fiancé arranged for me by the Green family for a business marriage. She was a business prodigy, but a total disaster in daily life. Groomed to be an heir since childhood, she absolutely loathed trust fund brats like the original host, who did nothing but squander their lives away. The one next to her was wearing a Chanel outfit, holding a pair of sunglasses, radiating star power even inside a hospital room. Chloe Simmons, a wildly popular A-list celebrity. The original host had thrown an insane amount of money into boosting her career. To the public, she had always maintained a persona where young Master Green is head over heels for me. On the right side, wearing a white lab coat, looking gentle and worried, was the attending physician of this private hospital, Dr. Stephanie Lane. Every time the original host caused trouble or got sick from his wild partying, she was always the one to clean up his mess. Over time, some unspoken, ambiguous feelings had developed between them, and the one standing furthest back, wearing a simple, elegant dress, was standing there quietly. Her clear, doe-like eyes carried a hint of timid concern. Clara Frost, the actual female lead of the novel, and the one with the most unfathomable background. Her family's power was far above the Vance family's, but she kept a very low profile. The original host actually had an engagement with her, but he must have been blind not to see it, choosing instead to chase after all those superficial party girls. Now that the memories had fully merged, only one thought crossed my mind. I'm exhausted. Just let it all burn. I didn't want to play out any face-slapping underdog revenge storyline. I didn't want to get tangled up with this group of women. I just wanted to lie back, enjoy hundreds of billions in family wealth, flaunt my six-pack abs, live in a luxury mansion, eat fine food, and sip premium wine. Isn't that way better than some exhausting corporate warfare or romantic drama? Evan, you're awake. Vivian Vance was the first to speak. Her voice was just as cold as her demeanor. The doctor said you took a hit to the head, and there might be some lingering side effects. There wasn't a shred of genuine concern in her eyes. It was pure scrutiny, as if she were evaluating a damaged piece of merchandise to see how much value it had left. Chloe Simmons took off her sunglasses, squeezing out a few tears. Evan, you scared me to death. If anything happened to you, how could I go on living? Her acting was so incredibly forced, it made my skin crawl. Stephanie Lane stepped forward, picking up an instrument to check my pupils. Her tone was gentle. Mr. Green, how are you feeling right now? Do you feel discomfort anywhere? I ignored them, my gaze passing through the crowd, and landing on Clara Frost, who was tucked away in the furthest corner. Stunned by my gaze, her fair face blushed slightly, and she nervously clutched the edge of her dress, looking at a loss. She's the one, the book stated. That Clara Frost was the only person who was genuinely good to the original host. She had the best family background, the gentlest personality, and her looks fit my aesthetic perfectly. She was simply the ultimate partner for my early retirement lifestyle. As for Vivian Vance, a career-driven alpha woman, being with her would be more exhausting than working a 9-to-5. Chloe Simmons, a celebrity who only wanted to use me. Too loud. Stephanie Lane was gentle, sure, but her family background was ordinary, making her an easy target for bullying in a wealthy household. I couldn't be bothered to deal with that kind of drama. A perfect plan instantly formed in my mind. I looked at the 4 women in front of me, letting a perfectly timed expression of bewilderment and confusion wash over my face. Who are you guys? Guy blinked, looking completely innocent. And who am I? The air instantly froze. 4 pairs of beautiful eyes widened simultaneously, filled with absolute shock. Vivian Vance knit her brows tightly, her sharp gaze piercing through me as if trying to drill a hole. Evan, what kind of game are you playing now? Chloe Simmons even forgot to let her tears fall. Evan, don't scare me like this. You don't recognize me anymore? It's me, Chloe. Stephanie Lane was the first to snap out of it. She immediately picked up her penlight and checked my eyes once more, her expression growing serious. The patient might have sustained a head injury from the impact, leading to temporary amnesia. I gave her a silent thumbs up in my mind. Talk about a perfect assist. Amnesia it is. Vivian Vance let out a cold scoff, crossing her arms. This kind of cliché plot from a third-rate TV drama? Do you really think I'd buy it? I paid her no attention, instead looking timidly at Stephanie Lane, like a frightened little animal. Doctor, I really can't remember anything at all. My head hurt so bad. I clutched my head, doing a flawless job of faking intense pain. Clara Frost finally couldn't help but step forward, speaking in a soft, gentle voice. Stop pressuring him. He looks like he's really hurting. Doctor, is he truly suffering from amnesia? Her voice was soft and sweet like cotton candy, instantly putting one's mind at ease. Stephanie Lane nodded solemnly. Judging by his physiological responses, he doesn't seem to be faking it. We'll need a comprehensive brain scan to know the exact situation. Vivian Vance wanted to say something more, but looking at my pale face and pained expression, she ultimately swallowed her words back down. Meanwhile, Chloe Simmons had caught on to a new angle for media hype. She immediately whipped out her phone, seemingly texting her manager, a faint, subtle smile passing over her lips. Perfect. Everything was going exactly according to plan. Amnesia was the ultimate weapon to sever all ties with past troubles and kickstart my life of leisure, looking at how each of them harbored their own hidden agendas. And I, as the only person who possessed all the facts, quietly enjoyed this grand drama that belonged entirely to me. This feeling was so damn liberating. Since he has amnesia, then I will stay behind to take care of him tonight. Chloe Simmons was the first to claim the upper hand, putting on the airs of an official girlfriend. Vivian Vance shot her a cold glance. You know how to take care of someone. It'll be a miracle if you don't annoy him to death. I'll stay. President Vance, you're a high-powered CEO who deals with 1,000 matters a day. Isn't staying here a waste of your talents? Besides, weren't you the one who despised Evan the most? Chloe countered sarcastically. I am his fiancé. Taking care of him is my responsibility. Vivian brought up her status. Fiancé? Chloe laughed exaggeratingly. Just a fiancé whose engagement is about to be called off anyway. Who doesn't know that? The two went toe-to-toe, the tension thick with a strong scent of gunpowder. Stephanie Lane tried to mediate from the side. Both of you, the patient needs rest. You'll affect his recovery if you act like this. I lay on the bed with my eyes closed, pretending to be weak, but my heart was bursting with joy. Fight, fight. The fiercer the better. That way, none of you will have time to bother me. Just then, a timid voice rang out. How about I stay? It was Clara Frost. Everyone's gaze fixed upon her. She nervously pinched the hem of her dress and said softly, I can make some light, nutritious meals, and I also know some basic nursing skills. I should be able to take good care of him. Vivian Vance and Chloe Simmons knit their brows simultaneously, clearly not thinking much of this little white rabbit, who looked completely harmless. Vivian scrutinized her. "Who are you?" Before Clara could speak, I spoke up first. I slowly opened my eyes, my gaze landing precisely on Clara, with a hint of dependence and familiarity. I said, "I think I've seen you somewhere before." This was complete nonsense, but I knew. The effect of these words would be absolutely nuclear. Sure enough, Clara froze. Her fair face instantly flushed bright red, looking like a ripe apple. The expressions of the other three women instantly became a spectacular sight. For the first time, a crack appeared on Vivian's icy demeanor. Her eyes filled with utter disbelief. Chloe's mouth dropped wide open, enough to fit an egg. Stephanie's gentle smile also froze right on her face. This was exactly the information gap I wanted to create. I have amnesia. Yet you are the only one I have a slight, blurry memory of. What does that mean? It means that in my subconscious mind, you are the most special existence. For any woman, this was an irresistible, killer move. "You remember me?" Clara stammered, her eyes sparkling with a glimmer of anticipation. Weakly, I shook my head, then nodded again. "I don't remember. I just feel like you're very familiar and comforting." As I spoke, I reached out my hand toward her. Like a child seeking protection, Clara's heart melted instantly. She walked quickly to my bedside and gently took my hand. Her hand was very soft and warm. "Don't be afraid, I'll stay right here with you." She comforted me softly. I took the opportunity to tighten my grip on her hand, then shot a provocative glance at Vivian Vance. Vivian's expression could no longer be described as merely unpleasant. It was an absolute thunderstorm. She stared dead at my hand holding Clara's, the look in her eyes cold enough to freeze someone solid. She couldn't understand why a simp like me, who had courted her for so long, would choose someone else as the very first person to be close to after losing his memory. This sense of losing control, to someone with an intense desire for control like her, was the ultimate torture, and I simply wanted to enjoy her breakdown, unable to figure it out, yet unable to get rid of me. Chloe was also furious, but she was a smart woman. She knew that pushing it now would only make me resent her more. She stamped her foot and said reluctantly, "Since Evan chose you, then take good care of him. I'll come back to see him tomorrow." With that, she clicked away in her high heels. Vivian gave me a deep look, her gaze incredibly complex, filled with anger, confusion, and a hint of hurt that she hadn't even noticed herself. "Get some rest." She dropped those three words and turned to leave as well. The hospital room finally quieted down. Only Clara and I were left, along with Stephanie Lane, who stood aside as a backdrop. Stephanie looked at our intertwined hands, her eyes dimming for a brief moment, before she quickly regained her professional demeanor. "Miss Frost, I'll leave Mr. Green in your hands then. If there are any issues, feel free to press the call button." "All right. Thank you, Dr. Lane." Clara replied politely. After Stephanie left, the hospital room fell into a quiet stillness. I could catch a faint scent from Clara, a delicate fragrance. That smelled like gardenias. It was very pleasant. I pretended to be tired and closed my eyes, but my hand kept holding on to hers. I could feel her body stiffen slightly, but she didn't pull her hand away. After a while, I heard her speak in an incredibly low whisper, as if speaking to herself, yet also as if speaking to me. "Evan, do you really not remember me?" I didn't answer. In my mind, I smiled. The clowns had all exited the stage. Now it was game time between the hunter and the little white rabbit. The next day, I went through the discharge procedures. Vivian Vance and Chloe Simmons arrived early in the morning and had another fight over who would take me home. Vivian wanted to take me back to the Vance estate, her reason being that, as my fiancé, she had a duty to supervise me. Chloe wanted to take me back to her villa, her reason being that she could give me meticulous care. I looked at them, feeling like I was watching two vain peacocks flaunting their feathers, noisy and ridiculous. My attending physician, Stephanie Lane, also walked in. She handed me a discharge report and gently reminded me, "Mr. Green, your body still needs proper rest. It would be best to return to an environment you are familiar with. It helps with memory recovery." Another perfect assist. I immediately seized this reason, looking at them with my innocent and bewildered eyes. I want to go home, my own home. Vivian and Chloe were choked up at the same time. They both wanted to control me within their own territory, but they forgot that I had over a dozen luxury mansions under my name. "But if you're by yourself," Clara said with some concern. I immediately turned to her. my tone filled with dependence. Will you come home with me, please? Clara's face flushed red again. She subconsciously glanced at Vivian, looking a bit hesitant. I intensified my offensive, looking at her pitifully. I don't know anyone else. I only trust you. These words were meant for Clara to hear, but even more so for Vivian. Vivian's expression instantly darkened, the air pressure around her dropping to a terrifying level. Clara's heart softened, and she finally nodded. Okay, and so, under the murderous glares of Vivian Vance and Chloe Simmons, I held Clara's hand and stepped into the Rolls-Royce Phantom that had come to pick me up. Standing by the car door was an old butler wearing a proper tuxedo, his hair combed with meticulous care. Welcome home, young master. The old butler, Uncle Zhang, respectfully opened the car door for me. Uncle Zhang was a veteran of the Green family, and the most loyal subordinate to the original host in the book. With him around, my grand plan for early retirement was already half successful. Uncle Zhang, I said as I got into the car, turning back to face him, from now on, you have full authority over my affairs. I am exhausted and just want to rest. Uncle John froze for a moment, then gave a knowing smile. Yes, young master, I understand. Of course he understood. The original host used to be an energetic fool who caused trouble outside every single day, leaving Uncle Zhang constantly cleaning up after him. Now, my amnesiac self just wanted to lie back and hand everything over to him. It actually made things easier for him. He only needed to manage the general direction. This was practically the easiest job in the world. The car drove smoothly toward the Green estate. Clara Frost sat beside me, looking a bit restless and uneasy. Evan, do you really not remember anything at all? Not even your own home? I shook my head, turned my head to look at her, and asked very seriously, Hey, what's your name? My name is Clara Frost. Clara, I softly repeated her name, and then smiled. It's beautiful. 2 rosy clouds flew onto Clara's cheeks, and she lowered her head. I stopped speaking, and closed my eyes to rest, but my mind was already sketching out my blueprint for early retirement. Fitness had to be arranged. It would be a shame not to maintain the original host's 6-pack abs and V-line torso. Fine food had to be arranged. I would have to try every single one of China's 8 great culinary traditions. Fine wine had to be arranged. The book mentioned that the Green family had its own winery, specifically for brewing all kinds of Chinese liquor, yellow wine, rice wine, and grape wine. I didn't really care for that sour, bitter grape stuff. As for women, I glanced at Clara beside me. She was beautiful, had a gentle personality, came from a clean background, and possessed a powerful family status that could help block countless troubles for me. Most importantly, she was very sweet and wouldn't bother me. She was simply the perfect companion for an early retirement lifestyle. The car drove into a vast estate and stopped in front of a grand, castle-like building. So, this is my home. I led Clara out of the car. Uncle Zhang had already arranged everything. Young master, your room has been rearranged according to your preferences. Is this Miss Frost? The guest room is ready as well. I took Clara's hand and told Uncle Zhang, no need for a guest room. She's staying with me. Hearing Uncle Zhang, Clara's face instantly turned completely red, and she stammered, No, that won't do. I looked at her with a completely innocent expression. Why won't it do? I get scared sleeping alone. Didn't you promise to stay with me? I exploited an amnesiac patient's lack of security to the absolute maximum. Clara was left utterly speechless by my words, her small face turning from red to white and white to red. In the end, she could only let out a hum that sounded like a buzzing mosquito. I smiled with satisfaction. Handled. Right then, my phone rang. Uncle Zhang handed it over. I saw the caller ID showed it was Vivian Vance. I pressed decline without hesitation, and threw the phone back to Uncle Zhang. From now on, block any numbers from people I don't know. Yes, young master. Uncle Zhang understood perfectly. Inside another car not far away, Vivian Vance listened to the prompt coming from her phone. The number you have dialed is currently busy. Her fingers holding the steering wheel turned white from gripping it too hard. She didn't understand why everything had spiraled out of control. The man who used to pin her number to the top and answer any of her messages in seconds had actually hung up on her just now. On top of that, he had even brought another woman back to his home. An unprecedented irritation and panic gripped her heart. My life of leisure officially began. Every day, I slept until I woke up naturally, worked out a bit, and then strolled around the estate, Uncle Jong managed my life with flawless precision. Breakfast was Cantonese dim sum, lunch was authentic Sichuan cuisine, and dinner was exquisite Huaiyang dishes. During afternoon tea, Uncle Jong would prepare my favorite, home-brewed rice wine, along with a few side dishes. Sitting in the garden pavilion, I would spend the whole afternoon there. This kind of heavenly existence, I wouldn't trade it even if you offered to make me an emperor. Clara was very restrained at first, but gradually she began to loosen up. She discovered that I really didn't care about anything, spending every day just eating and drinking, like an idle loafer. Yet this idle loafer possessed a surprising amount of charm. When I was working out, she would rest her chin in her hands and watch me quietly from the side. Occasionally, when I did pull-ups and rose above the bar, revealing my V-line torso, her cheeks would secretly flush red. When I tasted fine food, she would curiously ask me about the characteristics of various cuisines. Her eyes filled with admiration. When I poured and drank by myself, she would sit opposite me, listening to me talk about the lore and historical anecdotes behind the wine. She grew more and more curious about me, and also closer and closer. "Evan, can I touch your abs?" That afternoon, after I finished a set of bench presses in the gym, sweat trickled down the lines of my muscles. Clara handed me a towel, her eyes fixed intently on my midsection with a sparkling gaze. She had finally built up the courage to ask this question. I smiled, grabbed her hand, and pressed it directly onto my abs. "Go ahead and check the results." Her hand jerked as if she had received an electric shock, and her face instantly flushed red all the way to her ears. The firm texture, carrying a burning heat, was transmitted from her palm. "How is it? Do I pass?" I leaned in close to her, lowering my voice to ask. Her brain had completely short-circuited, leaving her able only to nod foolishly. Looking at her pure and adorable reaction, my heart felt a bit teased. She truly deserved to be the female lead of the book. Such a wonderful and pure angel. Just as I wanted to take advantage of the moment to steal a kiss, the phone in my pocket vibrated again. Uncle Jong was holding it for me. He glanced at it, walked over and said, "Young master, it's Ms. Vance." It was Vivian Vance again. This woman had been acting like crazy lately, calling me 800 times a day. "Hang up." I waved my hand impatiently. "Young master," Miss Vance said, "if you don't answer the phone again, she will come over in person." "Let her come," I scoffed. I wanted to see exactly what she thought she was doing. Half an hour later, a fiery red Ferrari sports car, executing an aggressive drift and tail whip, halted right in front of the villa entrance. Vivian Vance was dressed in a sleek black outfit, stepping in with her high heels, radiating a massive, overbearing aura as she walked in. The moment she entered the door, she saw Clara and me. I had just finished a shower, leaving my upper body bare and wrapping only a bath towel around my waist. Water was still dripping from my hair, while Clara was holding a hairdryer, carefully helping me dry it. The scene looked both cozy and intimate. Vivian's pupils contracted sharply. The coolness and self-restraint she took pride in shattered completely to pieces at this exact moment. "Evan," she all but ground out my name through clenched teeth. "What do you think you're doing?" I shot her a lazy glance, deliberately nudging my head against Clara's neck, breathing in the sweet, pleasant scent of gardenias on her body. As you can see, enjoying life. Clara completely stiffened from my actions, her face blushing so hard it looked ready to bleed, and she didn't even know where to put the hand holding the hairdryer. "Enjoying life?" Vivian Vance let out a furious laugh. "Evan, do you have any idea that Zenith Tech under your name is currently facing the risk of being acquired? The competitors have already driven the price down to the absolute bottom. If you don't take action now, the company is going to change hands." I remembered this. There was indeed such a plotline in the book. It was a business rival of Vivian's, who wanted to deal a blow to the Vance family's industries by acquiring Zenith Tech. To show off in front of Vivian, the original host had personally stepped into the ring to fight the competitor, only to end up completely overwhelmed. In the end, it was Vivian who stepped in to resolve it. This was also a major event that made Vivian despise the original host even more. "So what?" I let out a yawn, looking entirely unconcerned. Vivian stared at me in utter disbelief. "So what? That is your company. The company you built with your own blood, sweat, and tears." I scoffed in my heart. That was the original host. What the hell does it have to do with me? "Then sell it," I said nonchalantly. Vivian trembled all over with rage. "You absolute spendthrift. Do you have any idea how much effort from how many people went into that company, and you're just giving it up so easily? Otherwise, I countered, I have amnesia. I don't know anything. Dealing with such troublesome company matters is way too exhausting. Selling it for cash, so I can keep living a life of leisure. Isn't that great? This declaration of early retirement completely shattered Vivian's psychological defenses. She had always thought that, although Evan was a spoiled brat, he still cared about the company he had founded with his own hands. She had come today wanting to see him completely overwhelmed, so she could appear like a savior and make him profoundly grateful to her. But she never in her wildest dreams expected that I wouldn't play by the rules at all. I simply chose to give up. You really are completely hopeless. She pointed at me, too angry to speak. I couldn't be bothered to deal with her, so I said to Uncle Jang, who was standing by, Uncle Jang, show our guest out. If this Miss Vance comes back again, just block her at the door and tell her I haven't gotten out of bed yet. Yes, young master. Evan, you get back here. Vivian still wanted to say something, but I simply took Clara's hand and went upstairs. Clara, let's go try the yellow wine Uncle Jang just brewed. Bang! A loud crash echoed from downstairs, sounding like something had been smashed. I didn't even need to look to know that the great CEO Vivian Vance was throwing a furious tantrum. Wonderful, watching these self-righteous clowns drive themselves crazy because I refused to play by their rules. Watching them break down, this brought me far more pleasure than any corporate victory ever could. After Vivian was driven away by my antics, she indeed didn't come back to bother me. However, the crisis surrounding Zenith Tech was being wildly discussed all over the financial news. Everyone was waiting to watch the Green family fail, waiting to see how an amnesiac spendthrift like me would squander the entire family fortune. Vivian was also waiting. She was waiting for me to run out of options, and then go beg her. Unfortunately, I was about to disappoint her. I continued to spend my days eating, drinking, and having fun, and I even opened an account on social media. The handle was simply Evan Green. Has he gotten out of bed today? The daily status update consisted of just a single image, scenery from different angles around the estate. The caption was always, "The weather is nice. Perfect for early retirement." At first, everyone was mocking me. The Green family is finished with this spendthrift. He's still in the mood to post scenery. Zenith Tech is about to go bankrupt, and he's still relaxing. Verified, the most detached trust fund kid in history. However, 3 days later, a piece of breaking news exploded across the entire business world. Zenith Tech mounts a stunning counterattack. Core technology achieves breakthrough progress. Stock price skyrockets 300% overnight. Mysterious buyer seeks to acquire Zenith Tech at a high price. Turned down flatly by Chairman Evan Green. Too lazy to negotiate, not selling for any amount of money. According to an inside source, Chairman Evan Green never showed his face throughout the entire process, only issuing directives through his assistant, strategizing and securing victory from miles away. As soon as the news broke, everyone was completely dumbfounded. The faces of those who were waiting to laugh at me were slapped completely swollen, especially Vivian Vance. I could just imagine what a spectacular expression would appear on that icy face when she saw this news. In the evening, Uncle John came to report to me, "Young master, everything has been settled according to your instructions." I lay on a lounge chair by the swimming pool, sipping iced sour plum drink, too lazy to even open my eyes. The so-called technological breakthrough was nothing more than me taking a piece of tech knowledge from my mind that was 10 years ahead of this world, randomly picking a concept to write down on paper and tossing it to Zenith Tech's R&D department. The so-called brilliant strategizing was nothing more than a single sentence I said to Uncle Zhang, "Take that guy who wants to buy us out, and bankrupt him for me." Uncle Zhang's execution capability never disappointed me. He mobilized the Green family's massive, hidden underground network. In just a single afternoon, he caused that arrogant competitor who didn't know his place to suffer a complete collapse of his capital chain, forcing him to declare bankruptcy. A warning to the rest. From then on, no one ever dared to target Zenith Tech again, and I only needed to lie back and enjoy the fruits of victory. This feeling of winning while doing absolutely nothing was simply too damn liberating. My social media account also exploded with popularity overnight due to this incident. Evan Green didn't get out of bed today either. This topic actually surged to the #1 spot on the trending list. My follower count skyrocketed from a few hundred to several million. The comments section suddenly changed its tone entirely. Holy crap! What kind of god-tier boss is this? Bankrupting his rival while resting in bed. This is the true definition of a dominant CEO. Just giving orders is enough. No need to lift a finger himself. Hubby, do you still need a human accessory? The kind that can give massages and warm the bed. Hubby, look at me. Do I still have a chance? Clara held the phone, reading the comments to me one by one, laughing until she was leaning back and forth. Evan, you're so incredibly popular right now. Her big eyes curved into crescent moons. What's the use of that? It can't put food on the table, I said lazily. Clara, I'm hungry. I want to eat the osmanthus cake you make. Okay, I'll go make it for you right away. She immediately put down her phone and ran toward the kitchen like a cheerful little rabbit. I watched her retreating figure, the smile on my lips growing deeper and deeper. Wealth, leisure, good looks, a fine physique, and a sweet, adorable, beautiful woman who could cook exquisite food keeping me company. This life of early retirement was absolute perfection. Just then, my phone rang again. I picked it up and looked. It was a text message from an unknown number. This is Vivian Vance. This is Vivian Vance. Can we meet up? Her tone was more polite than ever before, even carrying a hint of pleading. I raised an eyebrow and typed a two-word reply, not free. Then I powered off the phone and tossed it aside. If you wanted to see me, what were you doing before this? Now you're the one begging me, not the other way around. Wanting to see me depends entirely on my mood. And my mood depends entirely on how comfortably I can lounge around. I rejected Vivian Vance, but she obviously didn't give up. The next day, a gold-embossed invitation was delivered to the estate. It was for a commercial charity gala, hosted by the Vance Group, and it explicitly invited me by name. Young master, Miss Vance said, that for this gala, many big shots from the political and business sectors will be attending, which will be helpful for your future networking. Uncle Zhang handed the invitation to me. Networking? I scoffed. Do I even need that kind of stuff? Class expensive from working. To me, so-called networking just means whether other people need me or not. As long as I'm strong enough, they will naturally swarm around me like flies. Not going. I waved my hand, getting ready to continue my grand cause of lounging around. Just then, Clara Frost spoke up timidly. The invitation says that all the auction proceeds from this gala will be fully donated to the Starlight Orphanage. Starlight Orphanage? I froze for a moment. The book mentioned that, although Vivian Vance had a cold exterior, she actually had a kind heart. She had been anonymously sponsoring an orphanage all along, and it was this exact Starlight Orphanage. This was the softest place in her heart, and it was also her well-kept secret. Clara looked at me, with a hint of anticipation in her eyes. I used to volunteer at that orphanage before. The children there are very lovely, but the conditions are very harsh. Looking into her clear eyes, my heart stirred. Going to the gala wasn't to give Vivian face, but because this was a perfect opportunity to score points with Clara. At the same time, it could also make Vivian realize much more clearly that she had completely lost me. Since our Clara has spoken up, then let's go. I pinched her cheek and said dotingly. Clara's face instantly turned red, and she protested softly. Don't call me that so casually. Then what should you call me? Evan Green sounds way too formal. I shook my head in dissatisfaction. From now on, call me Evan. Evan, her voice was as faint as a mosquito. I smiled with satisfaction. On the night of the gala, I wore a top-tier custom Armani suit, while Clara wore a moon-white long gown, making her look like a fairy under the moonlight, completely detached from the mortal world. The moment we appeared, we became the focus of the entire venue. The man was flawlessly handsome. The woman was exquisitely beautiful. And standing together, they looked exactly like a match made in heaven. Countless gazes swept over us, filled with admiration, envy, and curiosity. The most intense glare among them came from the host of the banquet, Vivian Vance. Today she wore a black strapless evening gown, noble and glamorous, like a black rose covered in thorns. When she saw me, holding Clara's hand so easily as we walked in, the hand holding her wineglass trembled imperceptibly. She forced herself to walk over calmly, with a polite, business-like smile on her face. Evan, you're here. And this is... Her gaze landed on Clara, carrying a hint of scrutiny and hostility. I ignored her completely, instead lowering my head to say gently to Clara, Are you tired? Do you want to grab something to eat first? Clara felt a bit nervous, whispering softly, I'm not hungry. Then, have some juice. I pulled her along and walked straight toward the buffet area, leaving Vivian completely stranded on the spot, openly practicing a double standard. This was exactly the effect I wanted. I wanted to let everyone see. But in my heart, Clara was one of a kind, while you, Vivian Vance, were nothing more than an irrelevant bystander. Vivian's face instantly turned deathly pale. The surrounding guests also noticed the tension and began to whisper among themselves. Isn't that young Master Green President Vance's fiancé? How come he brought a different woman here? You don't know? I heard young Master Green got amnesia a while ago, and he doesn't recognize anyone except that girl. For real? Then isn't President Vance wealthy family drama? The water runs deep. These gossiping voices were like needles, stabbing right into Vivian's heart. She clenched her fists tightly, her fingernails digging into her palms. She didn't understand why things had turned out this way. Clearly, she was his fiancée, and clearly, he used to be completely submissive to her. Why did a single car accident change everything? The main event of the gala was the charity auction. I showed very little interest in the first few auction items, until the host brought up a painting. Next up is this piece, an oil painting titled Starry Sky, collectively created by the children of the Starlight Orphanage. The starting bid is $10,000. And all proceeds will be used for the renovation of the orphanage. I saw Vivian's eyes light up. She was clearly determined to get this painting. $100,000. A wealthy merchant raised his paddle. $200,000. Another followed immediately after, and the price kept climbing up. Vivian didn't place a bid yet. She was waiting for the end when no one else was competing, to seal the deal with one final bid. When the price reached $500,000, the room gradually cooled down. The corners of Vivian's mouth curved into a confident smile, and just as she was about to raise her paddle, I beat her to it, lazily raising my paddle. $5 million. The entire venue went dead silent. Everyone looked at me as if I were a madman, watching me spend $5 million to buy a child's scribble. Did this young Master Green not only have a massive personality shift after his amnesia, but also lose his mind entirely? The host was also dumbfounded, asking me in a stammer, $5 million? Mr. Green, are you sure it's $5 million? Yes, I nodded, then turned my head to say to Clara beside me, didn't you say you like the children? Let's buy this painting and hang it in our bedroom, all right? My voice wasn't loud, but in the silent hall, it clearly reached everyone's ears. The words, our bedroom, were like a heavy sledgehammer, smashing violently against Vivian's heart. In an instant, all the color drained from her face. She finally understood. I wasn't bidding against her. I was humiliating her. I was using the thing she cared about the most, to please another woman. Right in front of everyone, I declared Clara's status as the mistress of my house, and completely trampled Vivian under my feet. $5 million once. $5 million twice. $5 million 3 times. Sold. As the gavel fell, this farce finally came to an end. Looking at Vivian's utterly devastated appearance, I didn't feel a single bit of pity in my heart, only endless satisfaction. You used to ignore me back then, but now I've made myself someone you can't even dream of attaining. This was the very first bit of interest I collected on behalf of the original host. After the gala ended, Clara and I prepared to leave. In the parking lot, we were blocked by someone. It was Vivian Vance. She seemed to have been drinking, her cheeks flushed, and her eyes unfocused. Gone completely was her usual aloofness and pride. Evan, why are you doing this? To me? She blocked the front of my car, her voice carrying a hint of a sob and grievance. I knit my brows, shielding Clara Frost behind me. Ms. Vance, please move aside. I won't, she looked at me stubbornly. You tell me why. Just because I didn't treat you well enough before, I can change. Whatever you want, I can give it to you. As long as you come back to me. I smiled, as if looking at a massive joke. Come back to you. Vivian Vance, have you mistaken something here? Between us, other than that marriage contract which can be torn up at any time, what other relationship do we have? We do, she said urgently. We've known each other since we were kids. There are plenty of people I've known since childhood, I interrupted her. Who do you think you are? These words were utterly merciless, like a knife plunging deep into her heart. Her body swayed a bit, and she could barely stand steady. Evan, how can you treat me like this? Huge teardrops rolled down from her eyes. That tear-stained look of hers was enough to make any man's heart soften. Unfortunately, I wasn't just any man. I was a transmigrator who had read the script and only wanted to live a life of leisure. I didn't have the slightest interest in her tears. White collars. Just then, from the other side of the parking lot, several men holding clubs suddenly rushed out, their faces distorted with rage. One look, and it was clear they up to no good. Vivian Vance, you drove our boss to bankruptcy. Today, we're going to make you pay in blood. The scarred-faced guy leading them roared. I reacted instantly. These people were sent by that guy who wanted to acquire Zenith Tech before, the one who ended up bankrupted by me. They didn't dare to touch me, so they targeted Vivian Vance instead. Vivian was also scared witless, her face deathly pale as she watched those men rushing over. Clara Frost was even more terrified and let out a scream, hiding in my arms. The classic trope of a hero saving the beauty in the book. The original host was right here, protecting Vivian Vance, and ended up having one of his legs broken, thereby earning a sliver of goodwill from Vivian. As for me, I chose to pull Clara back a couple of steps. Are you kidding me? How could this precious body of mine get hurt? A rough job like fighting was naturally meant for others to do. Uncle Jong, I called out flatly. Before my voice could even fade, 7 or 8 bodyguards in black clothes appeared like ghosts, flashing out from the shadows, instantly surrounding those thugs. In no time at all, those thugs were beaten down to the ground, wailing and crying for their parents. The entire process didn't take more than 30 seconds. I didn't even bat an eyelash. Scarface was pinned under a bodyguard's foot, yet he still bellowed at me defiantly, "Evan Green, what kind of man are you? Hiding behind a woman and bodyguards?" I walked over to him, squatted down, and patted his face. A brain is a wonderful thing, but too bad you don't have one. I stood back up, looking down at him from above. If a problem can be solved with money and muscle, why should I use my own fists? That's something only a fool would do. With that, I ignored them completely, pulling Clara along as I prepared to get into the car. "Wait," Vivian Vance called out to me. She stood blankly on the spot, looking at the thugs all over the ground. And that group of highly trained bodyguards, her eyes filled with shock and bewilderment. She had always thought Evan Green was just a spoiled brat who only knew how to spend money. She never knew he actually had such a powerful security force around him. She also never knew that when he handled a crisis, he could be so calm and detached. This detachment made her heart panic more than any anger or accusations ever could. "Thank you for just now," she said in a low voice. "I wasn't saving you," I corrected her coldly. "I just didn't want my car to be soiled by your blood." I pointed at that $10 million Bugatti Veyron. Vivian looked toward my finger, her face losing a few more shades of color. I pulled open the car door, letting Clara sit in first, and then I sat inside as well. The car started, speeding away into a cloud of dust, leaving Vivian all by herself, standing solitary in the empty parking lot. The night wind blew past, making her long dress look incredibly desolate and wretched. Inside the car, Clara was still feeling a lingering fear, clutching my arm tightly. "Evan, that was so close just now." I pulled her into my embrace, gently patting her back. "Don't be afraid. With me around, I won't let you get hurt one bit." She snuggled up in my arms, like a little kitten seeking a sense of security. "Evan, you're so good." I lowered my head and kissed her forehead. Silly girl. Through the rearview mirror, I could see Vivian's figure getting smaller and smaller. I knew that starting from tonight, this woman's heart was completely in disarray. When a woman grows curious about a man, that's the beginning of her fall. And I would make her sink deeper and deeper into curiosity and unwillingness until she reached the point of no return. After the gala incident, my life returned to a peaceful state, but the outside world was thrown into a massive uproar because of me. Evan Green didn't get out of bed today either. The popularity of this topic remained high, without dropping. Countless people flooded into my social media account to watch. They discovered that my life was literally the paradise of their dreams. Waking up in the morning on a several hundred square meter bed, working up a sweat in a private gym before noon, with a shiny six-pack glistening. At noon, a top chef served up a state banquet-level lunch. Walking dogs in a 1,000-acre estate in the afternoon, tasting wine and watching the sunset. At night, watching the stars together with a fairy-like girlfriend. No work, no worries, no KPIs, only enjoyment. Endless enjoyment. This is what fucking life is supposed to be. I live like a literal donkey. I'm jealous. I admit I'm jealous. Today, I'm just a total sour grape. We're both human. Why is the gap so massive? I'm still squeezing onto the morning rush hour subway, while others have already made hundreds of millions lying down. Young Master Green, does your house still need a watchdog? The kind with a college degree. My early retirement philosophy unexpectedly ended up leading a social trend. Countless young people began to reflect on their own lives, starting to pursue a more relaxed and self-oriented state of living. Even the stock price of the Green Group, because of the personal charm of me, the early retirement chairman, kept rising all the way up. I guess this was a case of unintentional results yielding success. I didn't care about this at all. What I cared more about was what kind of good food Clara was making for me today. Evan, come quickly and try the Buddha jumps over the wall I just learned to make. Clara, wearing a cute apron, carried an exquisite clay pot. As she ran out from the kitchen, handing it to me as if presenting a treasure. I took a sip. The broth was rich and incredibly savory. Delicious. I praised from the bottom of my heart. Her eyes immediately curved with a wide smile. Sweeter than the moon in the sky, every single day spent with her was filled with this kind of simple and heartwarming sweetness. She would be happy for an entire day, just because of a single compliment from me. When I was working out, she would secretly reach out to touch my abs, and then pull her hand back as if she had been burned. She would be scared on thunderous, rainy nights, and then pull back the blanket to wrap me completely inside, holding me tightly. She was like a little sun, warm and bright, making a lazy loafer like me, who only wanted to lie back, feel a sense of heartwarming comfort in the mortal world. The affection between us heated up rapidly amid these sweet daily trivialities, and all of this was witnessed by another person. Vivian Vance didn't come looking for me again, but she followed everything about me in a different way. She registered an alternate account, and became the #1 fan of my social media page. Every single picture I posted, she would zoom in and study it carefully. When she saw me tasting wine in the garden, she would go look up the origin of that bottle. When she saw the dishes Clara made for me, she would go learn the recipe for that exact dish. When she saw our pet cat and pet dog snuggling intimately together, her eyes would dim for a long time. She was like a voyeur, greedily spying on the happiness that should have belonged to her. And then, in the quiet, lonely dead of night, she would taste the bitter fruits of jealousy and regret all by herself. She began to imitate Clara. She took off the black suit she always wore, replacing it with a gentle dress. She put away her icy expression, trying hard to learn how to smile. She even bought a bunch of cute trinkets and put them in her minimalist office, where they looked completely out of place. She thought that as long as she became just like Clara, she could win back my heart. How utterly ridiculous. She didn't understand at all that what I liked was never Clara's gentleness, but Clara herself. She was one of a kind. Any clumsy imitation would only come across as a cheap knockoff, ludicrous and laughable. Uncle Jong saw all of this, and then told it to me like a joke. Young master, Miss Vance actually wore a floral dress to the office today. It scared the living daylights out of her subordinates. I was currently enjoying being hand-fed by Clara, too lazy to comment. She also bought a ragdoll cat that looks exactly like the one Miss Frost keeps, but the cat wouldn't let her hold it, and even gave her a scratch. Young master, do you think this Miss Vance has gone completely mad? I swallowed the shrimp dumpling in my mouth, wiped my lips, and said flatly, let her be. An irrelevant person is not worth wasting our time on. Yes, irrelevant. From the very moment she looked down on the original host back then, she had already been given a death sentence in my book. Everything I was doing now was merely executing a long, slow, and agonizing torture. The peaceful days didn't last long before being disrupted again. This time, the trouble came from Chloe Simmons. This A-list celebrity had tasted the sweetness of the amnesiac boyfriend topic and was having a blast using it for media hype. Every few days, she would post some vague, ambiguous text on Twitter. The weather is lovely today. It makes me think of a certain silly guy. I wonder if you're doing well right now. Some people, even if they forget me, will be forever engraved in my heart. Accompanying these were a few selfies of her with red rims around her eyes, drawing sympathy from countless fans. Topics like, see Chloe Simmons heartbreak, feel bad for Chloe Simmons, and the like, took turns trending on the charts. Her team went even further, paying off countless marketing accounts to wildly romanticize the deep, passionate love between her and me, turning her into a devoted, affectionate woman who had been abandoned by an amnesiac scumbag. For a time, public opinion began to shift. Many netizens who didn't know the truth started swarming under my social media account to flame me. You scumbag, Chloe. What's so good to you? Just because you have amnesia, you can just refuse to admit it? Forgetting your old love as soon as you have a new fling. Men really are all trash, right? And here I thought you were some god-tier boss. Turns out you're just garbage who ditches the old for the new. When Clara saw these comments, her fair face turned red with anger. How can they say that? You are not that kind of person at all, she defended me, like a mother hen protecting her chick. I pinched her nose and smiled. Don't be angry. Why lower yourself to the level of a bunch of idiots? But the things they're writing are too horrible. The mouths aren't on their own bodies, so let them say whatever they want. I had a completely indifferent look. This level of cyberbullying was no different from a mere tickle to me, but Clara cared immensely. She couldn't bear to watch me be misunderstood and insulted by so many people. That very night, while I was fast asleep, she secretly logged into my social media account and then used my account to post a picture. In the picture were two intertwined hands. My hand had distinct knuckles, slender and powerful, while her hand was fair, delicate, small, and elegant. Both hands were wearing a matching pair of rings, the classic Cartier wedding bands. The caption had only one sentence: my one and only Key Clara Frost. Yes. She even tagged her own account. It was a blatant, high-profile public relationship announcement. This status update was sent out at midnight, acting like a depth charge. That instantly blew up the entire internet. The servers even crashed for a period of time. Evan Green Clara Frost official announcement. Evan Green's one and only. Chloe Simmons is a clown. These three topics dominated the top 3 spots on the trending list at rocket speed. The netizens who were flaming me just moments ago instantly defected. Holy crap. The actual man himself stepped up. This is the official girlfriend. I knew it. Young Master Green has his eyes on a fairy. How could he care about a basic starlet? Ms. Clara Frost is so beautiful and elegant. So Chloe Simmons was just directing and acting in her own drama this whole time? Oh my god. Drama Queen of the Year. I feel bad for young Master Green and Miss Frost, being dragged into clout chasing by that toxic actress for so long. Am I the only one who noticed those rings? Those are limited edition Cartiers, signifying eternal love. I am totally shipping this. The trending topics that Chloe's team had spent tens of millions to buy were effortlessly pushed down by a single photo from Clara. Chloe herself became the target of mockery across the entire internet. Does your face hurt? Subtle hint to Chloe Simmons, stop acting. It's embarrassing to watch. Please just leave young Master Green alone. The man already has a girlfriend. Chloe's Twitter comments section completely collapsed. The next morning when I woke up, Clara was sitting by the bedside looking anxious, like a child who had done something wrong. Evan, I'm sorry. I didn't get your permission before I pulled her into my arms. Kissing her hair? Silly girl, why are you apologizing? You did wonderfully. But will this cause trouble for you? Trouble? I smiled. The thing I'm least afraid of in this life is trouble. I picked up my phone, looking at those chaotic comments. My eyes gradually grew cold. This woman, Chloe Simmons, had bounced around for way too long. It was time to make her shut up for good. I made a call to Uncle Jung. Uncle Jang, pass down the word. Have all platforms, networks, and production houses cooperating with the Green Group completely blacklist Chloe Simmons. Yes, young master. I wanted to ensure she would never have a day to shine in the entertainment industry again. On the other end of the line, Uncle Jung's voice carried a hint of excitement. Understood. He had long found that clout-chasing actress an eyesore anyway. Hanging up the phone, I looked at Clara Frost, who was still worrying in my arms, and lowered my head to kiss her lips. Don't think about that anymore. Let's do something meaningful. The sunlight was perfect outside the window, while a certain starlet's career was about to plunge into absolute darkness. This was the consequence of provoking me. Chloe Simmons's collapse happened even faster than I imagined. The day after I issued the blacklisting order, all the endorsement deals she was currently negotiating fell through. Several television shows and movies she had already signed on to terminated their contracts with her one after another, demanding astronomical cancellation fees. The variety shows currently airing edited her scenes completely out overnight, as if she had never even appeared. Major award galas and fashion events also crossed her name off their guest lists. In just 3 days, a highly sought-after, top-tier celebrity became a pariah shunned by everyone, completely vanishing from the entertainment industry. This was the power of capital. And I was capital itself. Chloe wasn't willing to accept this. She wanted to come beg me, but she couldn't even get past the main gate of the Green Estate. She called me, and I blocked her directly. She even tracked down Vivian Vance, hoping Vivian would intercede on her behalf. In the end, Vivian only gave her a cold reply. You brought this on yourself. When a wall starts to collapse, everyone gives it a push. That was reality. With that little nuisance Chloe Simmons taken care of, my life returned to its peaceful early retirement mode. The affection between Clara and me also took a step forward due to the public relationship announcement. She was no longer as shy as before, and began to proactively take advantage of me. For instance, when I was reading a book, she would curl up in my arms like a cat, her small hand restlessly tracing circles on my abs. For instance, when I was swimming, she would suddenly hug me from behind, blowing air into my ear and whispering, "Evan, your physique is so good." For instance, in the kitchen early in the morning, when I pretended to fail at frying an egg, she would loop her arms around my waist from behind and guide my hands step by step. Her warm breath would brush against the side of my neck, tickling me. This girl, who was originally pure as a blank sheet of paper, was being stained with my colors step by step. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Today was my birthday. Uncle Jang had decorated the entire estate like a fairy tale world, preparing to host a grand birthday party. But I declined. I only wanted to spend it with just Clara. In the evening, she personally prepared a table full of my favorite dishes, and even made a very beautiful birthday cake. "Evan, happy birthday." She lit the candles, her eyes sparkling brightly in the candlelight. "Make a wish." I closed my eyes, pressing my hands together. Honestly, I didn't have any grand wishes. Everything I possessed right now already exceeded my wildest imaginations. If I absolutely had to make one, it would be that these days of early retirement could go on forever. Opening my eyes, I blew out the candles. Clara held a piece of cake out in front of me. "Quick, taste it. I spent a long time learning how to make it." Just as I was about to open my mouth, she suddenly pulled the cake away, leaned over, and left a light, fleeting kiss on the corner of my mouth. "Some frosting got on your lips," she whispered, her face turning red. I froze. My heart unhelpfully skipped a beat. Looking at her shy, yet slightly mischievous appearance, my Adam's apple bobbed involuntarily. I pulled her into my arms with a sudden tug, cupped the back of her head, and kissed her fiercely. This kiss was no longer a gentle, testing touch like before, but was filled with aggression and possessiveness. I parted her lips, conquering territory, and plundering every ounce of sweetness inside her mouth. Clara was very unpracticed at first, but very soon, under my lead, she began to respond passionately. When the kiss ended, she was already limp in my arms, panting for breath, with a watery sheen in the corners of her eyes, looking unfocused and alluring. "Clara," I said, my voice raspy, whispering in her ear, "don't leave tonight." Her entire body shivered, and then she buried her face in my chest, giving a barely audible, At that exact moment, in the night sky outside the window, brilliant fireworks suddenly exploded. It was arranged by Uncle Zhang. The multicolored radiance illuminated the entire night sky, and also lit up our tightly embraced figures. I scooped her up in my arms, and strode toward the bedroom. Tonight was destined to be a sleepless night, the wedding night bliss. 10,000 words are omitted here. Please fill in the blanks yourself. The next day, I woke up feeling completely refreshed. Clara was still fast asleep in my arms, her long eyelashes like two little fans, with a hint of a sweet smile lingering on the corners of her mouth. I lowered my head and pressed a kiss onto her smooth forehead. The feeling of having her was 100 times more wonderful than I had imagined. I suddenly understood a bit why ancient emperors would choose never to attend morning court again. A gentle wonderland is the grave of heroes. The ancients certainly didn't lie. Just as I was enjoying this rare, tender moment, the phone by the bedside rang at an inappropriate time. I picked it up and looked. It was actually Vivian Vance. This woman really was like a ghost that wouldn't leave. I originally wanted to hang up directly, but on second thought, I pressed the answer button and deliberately turned on the speakerphone. "Hello?" My voice carried a hint of raspy laziness from just waking up. Evan, on the other end of the line. Vivian's voice was a bit hesitant, and also a bit tense. Are you free today? I want to talk to you. Talk about what? Talk about our future. She built up the courage to say. I almost laughed out loud. Our future? She really dared to think it. Before I could even speak, Clara shifted in my arms, letting out a cute, sleepy murmur. Evan, stop it. She rolled over, tangling herself around me like an octopus, her small face nuzzling against my chest. As she drifted back to sleep, this tiny bit of sound was clearly transmitted through the speakerphone to the other end of the line. Vivian's voice came to an abrupt halt. The air went dead silent. I could easily imagine that her face at this moment must be darker than the bottom of a pot. After a full half a minute, she finally used a broken, trembling voice to ask, You and her? You two, as you heard, I said flatly, with a hint of flaunting amusement in my tone. My girlfriend was exhausted last night, and she is still asleep. Rapid breathing came from the other end of the line, like a trapped beast on the verge of suffocation. President Vance. I switched into a formal, businesslike tone. If this is about business, please schedule an appointment with my assistant. If it's personal, then there's no need. My girlfriend gets jealous easily, and I don't want her to misunderstand. After saying that, I gave her no chance to respond, and hung up directly. After saying that, I didn't give her another chance to speak, and hung up the phone directly. The world was finally quiet. I looked down at the person in my arms, the smile on my lips growing wider and wider. Destroying the heart is the ultimate blow. To deal with a woman like Vivian Vance, who was proud to her very bones, nothing could shatter her will more than letting her hear with her own ears the man she loved sharing an intimate, tender moment with another woman. I just wanted to make her suffer repeatedly in the abyss of jealousy and regret, unable to find peace in life, and unable to find release in death. On the other side, in the CEO's office of the Vance Group, Vivian Vance sat on the floor, dazed. The phone slipped from her weak hand, crashing onto the cold floor, the screen shattering to pieces. My girlfriend was exhausted last night. My girlfriend gets jealous easily. Evan's words echoed repeatedly in her mind like a curse. Every single word was like a poisoned knife, gouging violently at her heart. She had always thought she still had a chance. She thought that as long as she swallowed her pride, as long as she became gentler, Evan would change his mind. But she was wrong. Dead wrong. Not only did he not love her anymore, he had already advanced to the most intimate stage, with another woman. Meanwhile, she was like a complete clown, still fantasizing about that ridiculous future. A massive wave of humiliation and despair completely consumed her. She wrapped her arms around herself, curling up in the corner, like a wounded, solitary wolf, letting out a long-suppressed, painful whimper. For the first time, she cried for a man, weeping, as if her heart were tearing apart. I completely laid my cards on the table. I didn't have amnesia at all. This news spread across the entire internet through a live stream. That day, Clara Frost had a sudden whim, and wanted to go live to interact with her followers, and share a bit of our daily life. I couldn't win the argument against her, so I could only agree. In the live stream room, she was just like a little girl, excitedly showing everyone our home, our pets, and the exclusive walk-in closet and art studio I had built for her. The fans were squealing with delight. A match made in heaven. What kind of romance drama plot is this? I'm so single, I'm dying. When can I have a boyfriend like this? Young Master Green is way too doting. He's practically spoiling Miss Frost rotten. The atmosphere in the live stream room was entirely peaceful and sweet, until Vivian Vance crashed the party uninvited. She had somehow gotten word of it, and barged straight into the estate, intruding upon our live stream. On camera, she looked significantly haggard, with heavy dark circles under her eyes. The once overbearing aura she possessed had vanished entirely. Evan, come out. I have something to say to you. She shouted toward the camera, her emotions somewhat spiraling out of control. The livestream room exploded instantly. Holy crap, it's the icy President Vance. Why is she here? A total drama zone. Is this content I get to watch for free? She looks so exhausted. Is she here to steal her man back? Clara was also startled, subconsciously standing in front of me, like a cat protecting its territory. Ms. Vance, please leave. Evan doesn't want to see you. Move aside. Vivian pushed past her, staring dead at me. Evan, tell me, do you really not remember anything at all? We grew up together. We have a marriage contract. Have you really forgotten all of that past? She was trying to use the past to awaken my memories. Looking at her stubborn refusal to face reality, I found it a bit ridiculous, and a bit tiresome. It was time for this game to come to an end. I walked over to the camera, picked up Clara's phone, facing the millions of viewers in the live stream room, and slowly spoke up. Hello everyone, I am Evan Green. Regarding my amnesia, as well as my relationships with Miss Vance, Miss Simmons, and Miss Frost, I think it's time to bring it all to a definitive conclusion. My words caused everyone to hold their breath. Vivian also froze on the spot, staring at me blankly. I looked at the camera, the corners of my mouth curving into a mocking arc. First of all, I never had amnesia. A single sentence sent shockwaves through the room. The live stream comments were instantly flooded with countless exclamation marks. Vivian's face turned deathly pale in that exact split second. I remember everything, I continued, turning my gaze toward Vivian, my eyes cold and sharp. I remember how you looked down on me, how you treated me like a dispensable accessory. I remember how Chloe Simmons used me. As a stepping stone for her career advancement. And I also remember how Dr. Stephanie Lane enjoyed my resources, while putting on the righteous act of a saint. As for why I faked amnesia, I paused, reached out to pull Clara Frost into my arms beside me, and lowered my head to imprint a kiss on her forehead. Because I was exhausted. I didn't want to play those boring wealthy family games with you guys anymore. I just wanted to live our own quiet life. With the person I love. I used the simplest and most effective method to rid myself of all the trouble. I looked at Vivian, saying every single word deliberately. Faking amnesia was simply to make you clowns show your true colors on your own, and then willingly get the hell out of my world. Now, as you can see, my goal has been achieved. The game is over. Miss Vance. My words were like the sharpest sword, completely piercing through Vivian's final disguise and dignity. She staggered backward a few steps, her eyes hollow, muttering to herself, "No, impossible, you're lying to me." "Lying to you?" I chuckled. "What do you have that is worth me lying for?" From beginning to end, you were nothing more than a self-indulgent clown in this play of mine. Vivian could no longer withstand this massive blow. A mouthful of fresh blood sprayed for her lips, and she fell straight backward, collapsing. The live stream room had gone completely wild. This staggering plot twist left everyone utterly dumbfounded. Meanwhile, I calmly shut down the live stream, and then placed a call. "Uncle Jean, there's a woman who fainted by the entrance. Call an ambulance to haul her away. From now on, do not let any irrelevant person set foot inside the estate again." After finishing all of this, I picked up Clara, who was also in a state of shock, and headed back to our room. "Evan, she looked at me, her eyes complex. I kissed her, interrupting any questions she wanted to ask. "Don't be afraid, it's all over." Yes, it was all over. Those entangled past events, and those annoying people, would completely become a thing of the past. From now on, my world would only have blue skies, white clouds, exquisite food, fine wine, and the person I loved most. My life of early retirement had only just begun. The end. Hey guys, please like and follow. This account will keep updating more web novels and comics.